Hi guys. So, question came up the other day. How do you do lines in, uh, Blender Paint? And I got to thinking, and I found a solution, even though it's kind of a hack. But I found out how to do it. And at the same time, I was also asked a question on when we were going to get selection areas in the UV Image Editor Painter. That would just to make it understood to people who maybe haven't used that kind of program. Uh, in Photoshop or GIMP or other programs, you have like a way to either draw a lasso or to uh, make a square or a rectangle selection or even just a polygon selection or something to select an area of your image and just paint in just that area. And it hit me, and I figured out how to do it. So I figured I would put those two things together today to help you understand how to do it if you really wanted to do it in Blender. I tend to do everything I can in Blender just because, well, it's kind of fun. The idea that it's possible, and if I share it, and people that are actually needing to only do it in Blender needed to find out how to do it, voila, they can do this. So let me go ahead and get started. This is my basic work area now. For I call it the student. Um, we're going to just use a couple of different screens. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this out a little bit. I'm going to drag this out halfway, change this one to UV Image Editor so I can make my image here. My 3D space, I want to also have a uh, properties panel so that I can do some settings. Okay, first things first, I'm going to make a new image. I'm going to call it test paint, and I'm going to leave it at 1K because the video will work better. Now I'm going to use the HSV 0.5 value to get a 50% gray and hit OK. So I've got this image, and their asterisk right here means that I have not saved the image, and that'll happen every time we make a change to it. I'm going to go ahead and save as image, go to desktop, and see it already says test paint PNG, so I'm going to save that image. Okay, now some of you may think, well, why don't you just do this? Why don't you, if you're going to make a line, why don't you just draw, like a grease pencil? We'll just D right here, D, this one is Control D, and you can see that we can draw straight lines. And you'd think, okay, well, why can't you just use that? Because if we try to save this image, you see how it says right here, image, there's no asterisk. It's not read in the UV image editor. It doesn't register this as being something you can do with it. We also don't have any kind of UI button here to get a screen capture of just that image plus whatever's in front, which would be really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of that. And I'm going to get rid of that. And get rid of it. We'll just we'll do some painting here in a minute, but for right now I'm going to leave that alone. Now in the 3D view, if we look over here, got this little button here, Open GL Render Active Viewport. So if I do that, I get whatever's there like that. Unless, watch this, we go into our camera view, render that, and then you actually get what's in the camera. Okay, so that we've got an idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 7 for the top view. That's number 7 on your numpad. Control Alt 0 to put the camera in the top view. Now here's my camera settings in my properties panel. I'm going to set these to 1024 by 1024 to match my image that I have over here. Set that at 100%. Now what I'm going to do is I don't need the light for the work that I'm doing. I'm going to move that to another layer out of my way. I'm going to take that default cube and get rid of it, but I'm going to replace it with a plane. And I'm going to scale that plane up to match my camera. Okay, now what I need to do is put this image on this plane. So I'm going to first give it a material. Also, I need to remind you, I do almost all my artwork all in Blender Render. I don't use cycles until I'm ready to plug things in. I find that my interaction with painting is much faster if I'm using Blender Render, and especially when I go to GLSL for multiple layers and stuff combined in a material. When it gets really complicated, it's better to have this. Alright, so I'm brand new. This is your default material. What I'm going to do though is make it shadeless. Doesn't matter what color I'm using, because I'm now going to add a texture, change it from cloud to image. Here I'm going to push this little up and down arrow and choose test paint from the options. Mapping, I'm going to set that to UV. I'm like, what UV? What are you talking about UV? It's pretty simple. I'll tab into edit mode, and I don't know if you can see it. You see the tiny little dots all over the place because the face is selected. Okay, I'm just going to plain unwrap it. Now you'll see my UVs are mapped to my UV image editor, and here's my cursor is at the corner. That's the position where it starts the image, and it's over there. So that's pretty much all I had to do for that. Now I'm going to go ahead and just squeeze that down. I don't need to see it right now. And I'm going to turn off the translation widget because I don't really need to see it at this point. But I do need to see, unfortunately, the grease pencil controls both sides. So what I'm going to do is add a new grease pencil, new layer, and I'm going to play with these settings here. Now, with this use sketching session, you have the options here: the regular draw, line, polyline, and erase. I'm going to use draw with my pen tool if I was going to do hair or something like that. If I'm going to do designs, I might use the polyline like this. Okay, something like that. And the reason, then you have to hit escape in order to stop it. But the interesting thing is that you can go full opacity, or you can take it down quite a bit. Also, you have the option to go to like a 1 pixel thickness or out to like a 10 pixel thickness. So it's, an interesting thing. And you're thinking, well, that doesn't make any sense, because what do I need to do that with? No, just a second. We've got this opacity at 1. That's cool. Make a new layer. Red. Okay, I've got these. Then I can turn around and bring those up. I can bring the opacity down. You see the black through it. Just different effects. Now, I don't mean this to be serious, because this is just an example of the technique. This is not an application of it. But now I have these two. What I'm trying to show you now is that we have this view space. And if I press this button here, bam. Okay, so if I zoom in, what kind of quality am I getting? It's pretty good quality. for the most part. I want to go ahead and get a 1 pixel. So I'm going to get a new layer. And I'm going to change that to like a blue. One pixel. And this one I'm going to do a draw. I didn't do any adjustments to my lines. I'll have to try to see if I can get a better result in the next one. But now, and see, it's pretty decent effect considering the scale we're at. Remember, we can still go back and paint this. Okay, you're sitting there going, that doesn't do anything. It's not on my painting, my test paint. It's not on there. Well, yeah, because all we need to do now is press F3, and it's already, the name's already there. So we'll just say save as image, then image, reload, bam, it's there in our paint. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, next thing we want to do is we want to be able to turn on and actually do something with like this red area, maybe fill in part of this, and you know, or make some different things that we can colorize. So what I'm going to do here is actually turn off those. I'm going to take this plane and I'm going to move it to another layer because I'm going to make a new one. Shift S, cursor to selected, sorry, cursor to center, my bad. And I'm going to add just a mesh plane right there in the middle, and I'm going to bring up a background image, and I'm going to choose my test paint so I can actually make work here in camera. And what I'm going to do is give this one that same material, and I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to grab the vertices. I'm going to go in upscale so I can see everything I'm doing. I'm a little bit in a rush trying to show you how this works because I'd rather be doing something where I do something really nice, but then that's something that takes so long that I can't actually talk to you. So I just want you to be able to see how this works. And I know this is a hack. Do not pretend to think that, you know, Blender has all the tools you'll ever need or the better tools that you'll ever need. I just think it has so much that it gives it an option. It really does give it something to do that's so much more advantageous than some people really think. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, now that I've got this this plane work this way, and I've got this set up, what I'm going to do is go back into edit mode, face select, U, and instead of projecting, I'm going to project from view. And see, if you look here, you'll see where the stuff lined up. Now, we're not done. This is awesome. I'm going to turn on my toolbar. I'm going to change from solid to textured, and I'm going to go to texture paint. And just for the example, I'm going to go up to strength of 1, and I'm going to change that to, say, bright yellow, and I'm going to turn my radius all the way up. You see what's going on the left side of your screen? This over here just updated because I painted over here. And so, okay, that's fine. Let me go ahead and scale my paint down and maybe change it to another color. And I'm going to change the strength down. I'm going to do this number. Nothing serious, I'm just playing around, just showing you how it works. But you see how the pixels are updating over there? So that's pretty weird. And I don't even have to go back to, I don't even have to do anything more with that. I can take, I can grab that whole thing and I can do this number and then project from view again. And now I can go back into paint mode and change the color and that's kind of like lightweight home. So I'm sorry I didn't turn on one. Okay, and then I can change that to maybe add and Shift F to turn the power down. You know, no big deal. But what my point is I haven't even saved this test paint image yet. The pixels are updating because I'm doing the painting over here. Now you're sitting there saying, well, that's just funny. That's fine. It's just a single, you know, a flat square. You just manipulated a square. That's no big deal. What if I need something more complicated? Ah, okay. Challenge accepted. So let's do some editing of this. Go ahead, subdivide. We'll change the verts and we'll select the outside verts. And loop tools. Whoops. I don't think I have it turned on this one. Okay, fine. It's not, we'll deselect the ones on the very the straight ups and we'll go ahead and manipulate these. Maybe we set a modifier so I can get a better shape out of it, and then hit apply. Now I've got more faces to work with, and O for proportional edit, and I take one of these and I do this number and I do this and I grab that. That's fine. And then I select all, view, project from view. Now I've got that. I go into paint mode and then I go to this. Okay. Okay, and then my pixels are saved over there, and I decide I want to save that. Really simple. Image, save as image, test paint, bam. You know, my screen will start to have aliasing problems because if I blow up bigger than what the image is, that's one. But here's the thing: I'm not even doing the painting yet. You know, haven't even got into the painting part. So if you're wanting to block out some geometric stuff, if you're wanting to maybe test out areas and you're wanting to block in shapes, or if you want to add in detailed lines and stuff, and you can't do it with your regular paint like I've shown on some of my speed paints, this is an option to maybe block in things. If you take your time, you can really do some really cool stuff. Let me go ahead and show you what I mean. I'll go ahead and open up a file that I already had. Okay, this image is one that I did on a speed paint, and so what I'm going to do is do the same thing we did before. I'm going to get a plane, go in top view, Control Alt 0. This is 2048 by 2048 was what the image was. I'm going to scale that plane up to that. Shadeless material, texture to an image texture, grab the image that I was already painting, set that to UV. I'm going to change this one to UV image editor up here for expediency. Go into edit mode, unwrap, change the texture draw. We have this. I'm going to get that light out of my way. Here we have the deal. I'm going to turn off the translator. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to get some nice detail done with some crease pencil. So I'm going to sorry, I forgot. New layer. I've got the black there. I'm going to do some highlight. We'll just change this to white. Thickness of 1. And I'm going to just have a draw session with a loose pen. And I'm not real happy with that line upset. So I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to look at my preferences. See what happens. So I'll set a new layer. A little better. It's kind of simplifying them a little bit. Okay, but here's the thing. We don't need them full out. We can just add them at very low opacity. And drawing backwards, you start to see that they actually seem like they go together. Also, we can go with a lock on that one, add a new layer. And with the black, I'll change that to very dark gray. And then I got one spot there that's, if you do these little dots, they get kind of square. So we might need to use the eraser like that. And just draw again. And these, maybe we'll bring the thickness up a little bit. And the opacity just down a little bit. And we draw out, and we see that they're actually fitting in. Something like that also might come in handy for drawing. Say, let's make another layer, and I'll just leave it at black, and we'll do a draw, and I'll use them for small little, oops, small little, I think what it is I set too simple of a, yep. Let me see if I got it. It also could be I'm recording is causing a problem. I'll just take my time. Now, I'm not saying to replace your paint strokes, but you can definitely get some effects. Now, these are set at 3. I'll turn around and turn them down to 1, and then turn down the opacity so that they blend in with the rest of the paint. And like I said before, what we do is we'll go ahead and get the OpenGL. So I'll come back. I'm in camera, so it's going to grab everything in camera. And so we come in, you'll see the difference. It has turned them into pixels. The grease paint goes back to almost where it fits in. It doesn't look as much of a curve anymore. And you can see the small details there. Well, I hope that's helped out a little bit. Some possibilities. With some of this stuff, if you use a combination of grease pencil and a combination of different primitive shapes that you use in your camera view to unwrap, you might be able to turn around and make some really cool, like a circuit board looking stuff, or maybe even some sci-fi, greebles and such for cracks and stuff. You can make some really cool actual hand-drawn cracks, in that you can get finer, like if you're working on rock, you can make a very detailed fine edges to mix with your wider suggested changes, and you can do some things that may make some really nice imaging. The main thing is that however long you want to spend on your textures is what you're going to get out of it. You're not going to get an instant push button that's going to make everything work just perfect. And one of the things I want to stress is that no matter what you can do in what software, it comes down to trying to be different in what you put out. People are not going to want to see that you just pushed an effect button in some software to get the default. You need to work at getting a look that's all your own. So I hope this has helped out, and you'll have a good day.